I'm not gonna lie, Cape Coral residents are among the most vocal people I have ever heard. The Facebook groups, the comment sections, the news stories, they cover it all. Traffic here is a nightmare. The city is running out of water. Permits take years, and the Cape Coral that people move to doesn't look anything like the Cape Coral they have now. And here's the thing, most of those complaints, sure, they may be legitimate, real problems. But today I'm going to walk you through them because there's one thing almost nobody is saying, and it changes absolutely everything when you look at it through that lens. If you spend 5 minutes in the comment section of any Cape Coral Facebook group, this is probably what's going to be your takeaway. The city is being overdeveloped, underserved, and mismanaged. The city council doesn't listen to the residents. The growth is absolutely out of control. And this small town that people fell in love with is being paved over, completely developed. But here's my take on things. Cape Coral isn't broken. It's just being built. And there is a massive difference between those two things. Because you see, a broken city has no plan, no trajectory, no reason to think that tomorrow is going to look any better than today. But on the flip side, a city that's being built is always going to have friction. It's going to have growing pains. Infrastructure is going to lag behind growth. They're going to have systems that haven't caught up yet. And sometimes you have a lot of very frustrated people living through the messy middle. Cape Coral is the second one, and I'm going to show you today exactly why. So hi, I'm Jamie Kolev. I'm a real estate agent here in Cape Coral. I live here, I work here, and I talk to buyers and sellers and relocators every single day. Now, I'm not here to try and sell you on this city, but I am here to tell you exactly what's going on. So today we're covering 4 things: the water crisis in North Cape and the real number attached to it, the traffic situation and what's actually being done, the building permit problem, and the context that makes all of it make sense. So stay with me through this one, because if you live here or if you're thinking about moving here, the last point is the one that you actually need to hear. So let's start with the one that is getting all of the headlines. Northeast Cape Coral has a water problem. Not a small one either. You see, the primary water source for that area is the Mid-Hawthorne Aquifer. About 14,000 homes, roughly 34,000 people rely on it for all of their water needs. And right now, it is critically depleted. Here's the part that matters. This isn't a drought situation, although that has affected it. The aquifer recharge area is 50 miles away in DeSoto County. The water has to travel 50 miles and percolate down 150 feet to get back to where people are drawing it from. Sadly, you can't speed that up, and decades of overpumping as North Cape has built out has now drawn it down to historic lows. We're already at the point where some residents can't water their lawns at all. And if the aquifer drops further, the restrictions are only going to get worse. The only permanent fix is connecting Northeast Cape Coral to city water and sewer. They've already approved a fast-track plan for this, and about 2,000 homes got access by the end of last year. The full extension is the goal, though, but here is the number nobody leads with when they're complaining about Cape Coral online: $30,000. That is the estimated cost per homeowner to connect the municipal water and sewer. And if you can't pay it, the city can then place a lien on your property. So we have residents who already own their homes, already paid off their wells and septic systems, already pay property taxes, and now they're facing a 5-figure bill on a timeline they didn't choose for a utility connection they technically didn't ask for. That is the source of anger out there. And it's legitimate. Here's the context, though. This is not unique to Cape Coral. Every city that has ever extended its boundaries into areas that are developed ahead of city services has gone through this. The infrastructure follows growth. It's always been that way. And the issue with the aquifer, it was never a if it happens. It was always going to be a when it happens. Now, that doesn't make the $30,000 less painful, but it does put it in a framework, and I'll come back to that framework at the end of this video. So if you're considering buying in Northeast Cape Coral, especially if you're on well and septic, this is something you need to factor into your budget and your decision. Not because it means you don't buy there, but because you need to understand what you're buying into. And we've covered that plenty in other videos. But if you're trying to figure out which areas of Cape Coral have city water and sewer already versus which ones are still on well and septic, we break that down in our free Cape Coral relocation guide. It's in the description, so grab it before you start touring homes up there. Now, the water situation is the most urgent issue in North Cape right now. But for most residents across the city, the frustration they feel every single day doesn't have anything to do with their plumbing. It involves their commute. Yes, we know traffic in Cape Coral is bad, and it's been getting worse for years. Here's a number that should stop you. Annual traffic crashes in Cape Coral grew 445% between 2012 and 2022. Not 45%, 445%. From 1,400 crashes a year to over 6,200. That's 517 serious injuries and 66 fatalities in that 5-year stretch alone. The Fort Myers Cape Coral Metro now ranks 13th worst in the country for traffic congestion. Residents lose about an average of 48 hours a year sitting in traffic. Now, if you're someone coming like me from a big metropolitan area like Denver, I look at those numbers and think child's play, but it is a significant amount. And the geography only makes it worse because Cape Coral's canal systems, which is one of the things that we all love about the city, is also a traffic constraint because you can't just cut through neighborhoods or take back roads because the canals all funnel traffic into a limited number of arteries. And when those back up, there is no release valve. And the city knows this. We all know this. They've been working on it. The Multimodal Transportation Master Plan, which was approved in 2024, includes 249 recommendations. These include roundabouts, intersection upgrades, lane reconfigurations, bike and pedestrian paths, and a mobility on-demand transit partnership with Tran. Cape Coral Parkway is being widened downtown, which we desperately need, especially when it comes up to the bridge. And the biggest long-term infrastructure move is going to be that new bridge, a new 6-lane bridge over the Caloosahatchee River to replace the existing one, which is hopefully going to be done around 2032. And that bridge is a bottleneck that shapes everything on the south side of the city. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go take a drive in the middle of rush hour. This is infrastructure lag, the gap between when growth happens and when the physical systems catch up. But it's solvable. The city is spending real money on it. But it's not going to be instant. And anyone who moves here expecting 2032 traffic today is going to be frustrated. Because the honest answer for anyone buying in Cape Coral right now is build your traffic tolerance. Just do it. Build it into your lifestyle choices. Because where you live relative to where you work, shop, and spend time matters here more than it does in a grid city that has multiple routing options. Traffic you can see and feel every single day. But the frustration I'm about to describe is a slow burning one. And it hits you hardest when you're trying to do something as basic as connect a generator before hurricane season. Cape Coral's building permit process has a reputation. And while I've had great experiences with them, the reputation is not a very good one. Residents have described waiting years, not months, years, for a routine permit approval. We're not talking about major construction projects. We're talking about connecting a whole house generator before hurricane season, installing a Tesla charger, replacing an AC unit, things that should really just take weeks. The city has tried to address this with an expanded online permitting portal. Some residents say it's helped. Many still say the backlog and communication problems exist. So if you're buying in Cape Coral, especially if you're planning any renovations, additions, improvements, build permitting time into your project timeline. Don't assume that it's going to get done in 2 weeks, 2 months. Just plan for the possibility of significant delays and have your contractor navigate the system with you rather than assuming it's just going to move fast. For new construction buyers, work with builders who've established relationships inside of the Cape Coral permitting system, so the bigger builders that have a bigger footprint out here. That institutional knowledge is worth something real, and it might save you time. But here's what this actually is: it's city services infrastructure lagging behind physical growth. The permit office was sized for a city of 100,000, and it's now processing applications for a city that's approaching 220,000. And we're going all the way up to 400,000. The back office systems are still trying to catch up, but right now they're kind of at this friction point. It's fixable and it's being addressed, but it's a real thing you need to know before you buy. So we've covered the water situation, the traffic, and the permits. Each one is a real problem. Each one deserves the attention it's getting. But here's what nobody is saying when they pile into the comments with their grievances. And it is the thing that makes it all make sense. So let's rewind the clock just a little bit. Cape Coral was founded in 1957. It was master planned from the very beginning for 400,000 residents. The canal system, all 400 miles of it, was engineered well in advance. The street grid was platted, the lots were laid out. This was never a small fishing town that just accidentally got popular. It was always a planned city on a trajectory towards a full build-out, again, of 400,000 residents. Cape Coral has approximately 220,000 residents right now. That is just over half of its planned capacity. Does that sound like overpopulation to you? We are actually living right in the middle of the build-out, not at the end of one. And so when longtime residents say Cape Coral has changed, yeah, they're right. When they say it's being overdeveloped, what they're actually describing is the second half of the 70-year build-out arriving faster than they really expected. The roads were never built for this population because the population hadn't arrived yet. But it was always coming, and the infrastructure is catching up. The water system in North Cape wasn't extended earlier because those areas developed ahead of city services, which is what happened in the outer rings of any growing city. The permit office is overwhelmed because the volume of construction is what it looks like when a half-built city accelerates towards completion. The people who are most frustrated right now are, almost without exception, people who moved to Cape Coral during its first half, when it felt quiet, manageable, and a little bit like this undiscovered secret. They're not wrong that it changed, they're wrong about what the change means. This city was never going to stay small. It was never going to stay unfinished. The plan was always 400,000 residents. What we are living through right now, the traffic, the water assessments, the permit backlogs, the development everywhere you look, is the friction of a city completing itself. And yeah, it's uncomfortable, and it is sometimes expensive. And if you moved here expecting it to stay exactly as it was when you arrived, it is genuinely going to be disappointing. But there is a difference between a city in decline and a city in construction. In Cape Coral, we're the second one. The cities that have successfully made this transition look back at their messy middle years and call it exactly what it was: necessary. And the people who understood what they were living through, rather than just reacting to it, made better decisions about where to buy, about what to expect, about whether the problems they were seeing were permanent or transitional. Most of what you're hearing about Cape Coral right now is that, transitional. So know the difference. All right, so let's recap what we actually covered today. The water situation in Northeast Cape is real. The assessment costs are real. And if you're buying up there, you need to factor in a potential $30,000 utility connection cost. That is not optional information. Traffic is genuinely bad. 440% more crashes than a decade ago. And the fixes are in process, but they are multi-year projects. Plan your lifestyle accordingly. Permits are slow, we know. Build that into your timeline. Work with people who know the system. And all of this, every single complaint, makes more sense when you understand that Cape Coral was always going to be a city of 400,000. We're not watching a small town get ruined. We are watching a build-out in progress. So if you came into this video wondering whether Cape Coral is as bad as the comment sections make it sound, I hope you're leaving with a clearer picture. Not a rosier one, just a clearer one. Because yes, the problems are real, but so is the trajectory. And if you're thinking about buying here in Cape Coral and you want to understand a little bit more about the city north versus south, utility status, flood zones, all of it, we have a free Cape Coral relocation guide. It is in the description. And I'll tell you, it's the fastest way to get smart on the city before you start making decisions. Or you can watch some more of our videos. And if you're already here and you've got questions about specific neighborhoods, reach out to us directly. We're local, we're in it, we'll give you the straight story. And one final thing before you go, drop a comment and tell us, are you a longtime Cape Coral resident watching all of this unfold? Or are you someone considering the move? I genuinely want to know which side of this conversation you're on. And if you've got a specific complaint that we didn't cover today, let me know. That may just be our next video.